In Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." Today, as you face the challenges of life, remember that you are never alone. God, in his infinite love and grace, is always by your side, guiding, protecting, and strengthening you. No matter what the day may bring, trust that his presence is constant and his promises are true. Take heart, for his presence is your refuge and strength. But here's the mystery. If God is always with you, why do we sometimes feel distant from him? Could it be that he's waiting for something more from us today? The answer may be closer than you think. Here are verses from Psalm chapter 139 that speak about God's constant presence and how he is always with you. Verse 1, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me." Verse 2, "You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar." Verse 3, "You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways." Verse 7, "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence?" Verse 8, "If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." Verse 10, "Even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me." Verse 17, "How precious to me are your thoughts, O God! How vast is the sum of them." Psalm chapter 139 offers a profound reflection on God's intimate knowledge and constant presence in our lives. It paints a vivid picture of a God who is deeply aware of every part of our existence, our actions, thoughts, joys, and sorrows. From the smallest detail of when we sit or rise to the innermost workings of our hearts, God's awareness is complete. His knowledge of us is not fleeting or distant, but a constant, loving presence that never falters. There is no moment or place where we can escape from his care, and his understanding of us goes beyond anything we can fully grasp. Whether in times of joy or difficulty, God is always with us, guiding, protecting, and loving us. This passage reassures us that, no matter where we go or what we face, God's presence is unfailing. Even in our lowest points, his hand leads us and holds us, offering comfort and direction. The psalm highlights that we are never truly alone, as God's unfathomable closeness is always with us. Whether we are in moments of despair or peace, his constant presence is a source of hope and strength. Psalm 139 emphasizes that God's care and love for us are limitless, providing us with the assurance that he is always by our side, guiding and holding us through every circumstance. Here are 5 things that Psalm chapter 139 teaches about God's constant presence and his unwavering companionship, reminding us that we are never alone and that his care for us is unceasing. The number 1, God knows you intimately. In Psalm 139 verses 1 to 2, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar." God's knowledge of us is far beyond what we can comprehend. He knows everything about us, our actions, our thoughts, even our feelings before we are aware of them ourselves. This deep, intimate knowledge is both humbling and comforting. In a world where we may feel misunderstood or unnoticed, it's incredible to know that God sees us fully and completely. He is not distant or detached from our lives. His knowledge is not limited to what we show outwardly, but penetrates the depths of our hearts and minds. There is nothing hidden from him, no struggle, no joy, no fear that he does not understand. God's awareness is not something to be feared. It is a source of comfort. We are not just another face in the crowd to him. We are his beloved children, known and cherished. This intimate knowledge is a foundation for our relationship with him. It's an invitation to be real, to be vulnerable, knowing that he understands us completely and still loves us unconditionally. Imagine a close friend who knows you so well that they understand your unspoken thoughts and feelings. In moments of joy or sorrow, they are there with you, fully understanding and supporting you. This is what God's intimate knowledge of us brings. It's not just about information, but about relationship. He is always present, always aware, and always compassionate. God's deep understanding of us also brings peace. We don't have to explain ourselves to him, trying to make sense of our emotions or actions. He already knows us, flaws and all, and He loves us anyway. This truth allows us to come to Him freely, knowing that we are fully seen and fully loved. When we realize that God knows us intimately, we can approach Him with confidence and trust. There is no part of our lives that is beyond His care or concern. No matter what we are going through, we can rest in the knowledge that He understands us completely. So, whatever you are facing today, remember that God knows you in the deepest way possible. He sees your heart, He knows your thoughts, and He loves you more than you can imagine. Trust in His intimate knowledge of you, and let that truth bring you peace and comfort as you navigate life's journey. In Jeremiah 1 verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations." This verse emphasizes that God knew you before you were even born, indicating His intimate and personal knowledge of you from the very beginning of your existence. It shows that God's awareness of you is not limited to just your actions, but includes your entire being even before your birth. In Matthew 10 verse 30, "But the very hairs of your head are all numbered." This verse highlights the detail of God's knowledge about you. It shows that God is so personally aware of you that even the smallest details, such as the number of hairs on your head, are known to Him. This reinforces the depth and precision of His knowledge. The number 2. God is always with you, no matter where you go. In Psalm 139 verses 7 to 8, "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there." No matter where we are or where we go, God's presence is never far from us. Whether we're on the mountaintop or in the depths, God's Spirit is with us, surrounding and sustaining us. Sometimes life can feel like a journey through unknown and difficult places, and we might wonder if God is still near. We may think that our circumstances, our struggles, or even our distance from others could separate us from Him. But this passage reassures us that there is no distance too great, no place too remote, where God's presence cannot reach. God is not confined by time, space, or circumstance. His presence is not limited to certain places like a church or a holy city. It is with us wherever we go. Whether we're at home, at work, traveling, or even in moments of solitude, He is always with us. This truth should bring us immense comfort, knowing that we are never alone in any situation. Think about how you might feel when you're in an unfamiliar or challenging environment, but then you realize that someone you trust is right beside you. Their presence brings comfort, assurance, and a sense of safety. God's presence with us is even greater than that. It is constant and unchanging, regardless of the circumstances. Even in the darkest moments, when it seems like we are far from everyone, we can find hope in the fact that God is with us. His presence is a constant companion, providing guidance, peace, and strength, no matter where we are or what we are facing. God's presence is not dependent on our location or state of mind. It is always near, always available, and always loving. When we feel isolated or distant from others, we can find solace in the truth that God is with us, and He will never leave us or forsake us. So, whatever journey you are on today, wherever life may take you, remember this: God is always with you. There is no place, no situation, no distance that can separate you from His presence. Trust in His constant nearness and let it bring you peace and confidence as you move forward. In Deuteronomy 31 verse 6, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you." This verse offers reassurance that God's presence is constant. No matter where you go or what challenges you face, God is with you. His presence provides courage and strength, and He promises never to abandon you. In Matthew 28 verse 20, "And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age." Amen. In this verse, Jesus assures His followers that He will always be with them, even after His earthly ministry ends. His presence is not temporary but eternal, and He promises to be with believers until the end of time. The number 3, God guides and holds you. In Psalm 139 verse 10, "Even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me." No matter where life takes us, God's guiding hand is always upon us, offering direction and comfort. During times of difficulty, we often feel unsure of the next step to take, but God's presence provides a steady, unshakable foundation for us to lean on. When we face life's challenges, it's easy to feel lost or abandoned, as though we are navigating the storms on our own. Yet, this verse reminds us that God's hand is not only with us, but actively guiding and holding us through every situation. Even when the path is unclear or the road is hard, we are never alone. God is intimately involved in our lives, offering the direction and strength we need to move forward. Imagine walking through a dense forest, unsure of which way to go, when suddenly a trusted guide appears, taking your hand and leading you through the thick trees. You may have felt lost, but now there's peace because someone is showing you the way. In much the same way, God holds our hand in times of uncertainty, guiding us step by step, never letting us wander without purpose. God's guidance isn't just a map for where to go. It's a living, active presence in our lives. His hand holds us not only to direct us, but to comfort and protect us as well. Even when the journey is tough, knowing that God's hand is there to uphold us brings peace to our hearts. He doesn't leave us to face trials alone. He is right beside us, offering the strength we need. His guidance is also a promise of hope. Even when we can't see what lies ahead, we can trust that God knows the way. He sees the bigger picture, and He will never let us face any challenge without His help. His hand is always there to steady us, to comfort us, and to lead us safely through the storm. So, when you find yourself in difficult times, remember that God is guiding you and holding you in His loving hands. No matter the challenges you may face, you are never without direction or support. Trust in His guidance, knowing that He is with you every step of the way. In Isaiah 41 verse 10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." This verse emphasizes God's active role in guiding and supporting you. It assures you that God will provide strength and assistance, lifting you up with His power and righteousness, offering security and direction in difficult times. In Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths." These verses highlight the importance of trusting in God completely and seeking His guidance. God promises to direct your paths when you rely on Him rather than your own understanding, emphasizing the importance of divine leadership and care. The number 4. God's thoughts about you are precious. In Psalm 139 verse 17, "How precious to me are your thoughts, O God! How vast is the sum of them!" God's thoughts toward us are not only numerous, but precious. This reveals the depth of His love and care for each of us, showing that He is constantly mindful of us and has our best interests at heart. His thoughts toward us are not fleeting or casual. They are intentional and full of love. In a world where we may feel overlooked or insignificant, it's comforting to know that God's thoughts about us are countless and priceless. He isn't distracted by the busyness of life or indifferent to our struggles. Rather, He is deeply concerned with every detail of our lives. From our hopes to our fears, God is aware, and His thoughts toward us are filled with affection and care. Imagine how you might feel if someone you deeply respect or love thought about you constantly, always caring for you and desiring what's best for you. This is how God feels about you. His thoughts are not just occasional, but ongoing, vast, and precious. Each moment of your life is held in His mind, and He is continually working for your good. God's thoughts toward us are also an expression of His constant love. It's not just that He notices us from time to time. He is actively thinking of us, caring for us, and ensuring that we are never far from His attention. This truth reassures us that we are always in His heart, never forgotten or abandoned. His thoughts are not just about what we've done or who we are. They are about who He created us to be and the purpose He has for us. His love for us is reflected in the care and attention He gives to every part of our lives. Even when we feel unseen or unknown, God's thoughts toward us remain vast and precious. So, whenever you feel uncertain or insignificant, remember this: God's thoughts about you are vast, precious, and filled with love. You are never out of His mind or care. Trust that his constant attention to you is a reflection of his unwavering love and the depth of his desire to see you thrive. In Isaiah 49 verse 16, "See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me." This verse illustrates God's deep affection and constant mindfulness of you. Inscribing your name on his hands symbolizes how precious you are to him, and it shows that he is always thinking of you and keeping you in his care. In Romans 8 verse 31, "What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us?" This verse reflects the idea that God's thoughts toward you are full of favor and protection. It assures you that because God is for you, no opposition can stand against you, reinforcing the immense value he places on you and his active care in your life. The number 5. God searches and understands you completely. In Psalm 139 verse 3, "You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways." There is no part of our lives that God does not understand. His care for us goes beyond surface-level observation. He knows us intimately, our thoughts, our actions, and even our heart's deepest desires. This deep understanding assures us that God's presence in our lives is not distant or detached, but comprehensive and personal. It's easy to feel misunderstood by others, especially when we face struggles or make mistakes. But God's understanding is different. He is not simply aware of what we do. He understands the full depth of our lives, our struggles, our joys, and the motivations behind every decision we make. His understanding goes beyond judgment. It is filled with compassion and care, seeing us fully and loving us despite our flaws. Imagine being in a room full of people, feeling as though no one really knows or understands you. Now imagine one person who not only knows you deeply, but also sees the very core of who you are and still loves you unconditionally. This is what God's understanding is like. He knows all our ways, and yet he is always with us, offering his love, grace, and mercy. God's comprehensive knowledge of us also means that he understands our struggles and weaknesses. We don't have to hide from him or pretend to be something we're not. He already knows the full picture, and his understanding allows us to approach him honestly and without fear. In the moments when we feel broken or uncertain, we can rest in the truth that God completely understands us and cares for us. This deep understanding is a source of comfort because it reminds us that we are not alone in our journey. God knows the path we walk, the burdens we carry, and the questions that weigh on our hearts. He is not just aware from a distance. He is actively engaged in our lives, walking with us through every moment. So, whenever you feel misunderstood or unsure, remember that God searches you completely and understands every part of your life. There is nothing about you that he does not know, and his presence in your life is full of compassion, understanding, and love. Trust in his deep care for you, knowing that he is with you in every moment, comprehending your heart and guiding you with his infinite wisdom. In Hebrews 4 verse 13, "And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him to whom we must give account." This verse underscores that God sees and understands everything about you. There is nothing hidden from him. He knows all aspects of your life, thoughts, and actions, and you will be held accountable to him for everything. It reflects the complete and thorough understanding God has of you. In 1 John 3 verse 20, "For if our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things." This verse assures that even when you feel condemned or uncertain, God's understanding is far greater than your own. He knows the full truth of your heart, thoughts, and struggles, and his knowledge and care surpass any feelings of inadequacy you may experience. In conclusion, the message from Zephaniah 3 verse 17 and Psalm 139 reminds us of the unwavering, constant presence of God in our lives. Though life presents challenges and at times, we may feel distant from him, we are never alone. God's love, care, and protection are always with us, guiding us through every moment. He knows us intimately, understands our deepest thoughts, and is present in every circumstance, offering strength, comfort, and direction. As we face life's difficulties, we can find refuge in his promises, knowing that his love will never fail and his presence will never leave us. Let this truth be a source of hope and peace, for no matter where we go or what we face, God is always with us.